Hi everyone, I am the septuagenarian explorer, and today I am going to explore an important historic site on Anguilla that is on the northern side, the Atlantic side, and that is Katouche Bay. To get to Katouche Bay, you go up the Roach Hill to Crocus Hill and take the Old Courthouse Road um, west, and you just keep going till it turns into a dirt road and then go down the hill. As I mentioned, Katouche Bay was an important site, both historically and militarily. And this is the battery, so that is one of the cannons that still exists that were protecting the bay from invasion, which I will talk about more in a little bit. Now we're heading down the road down towards the actual beach where the bay is, and across the area there you can see perhaps that there is a canyon, and that is Katouche Canyon, and it is a rainforest, tropical rainforest. And there are all sorts of interesting plants and animals there, including an invasive species of monkeys. I haven't ever seen any, but who knows, today might be the day. Okay, let's continue on down the path here. This area, the property towards the beach, there is a villa. And so if you wanted to stay right on Katouche Bay, you could rent one of the villas. And that is why this portion of the road is paved. You could drive all the way down, but as this is also private property, I decided to park up at the entrance where there is a big parking lot. You can sort of see over here, perhaps in this clearing, how far down it drops. So there's quite a steep drop. And now we're getting a view of the bay. The beautiful Atlantic Ocean out there. Try and keep focus on it. Okay. And we twist around and then it gets steep again. So on the Atlantic side, a lot of the access to the beaches is quite a steep drop down from the main road. And we'll see a little bit of property. And maybe you can hear the surf. Oops, someone's coming. Here we have a beautiful view. See some of the houses up on the cliff top there. Very lovely. It's a little hard to see, but right out there at the horizon is an island. I don't remember the name of it. I'll look that up and put it in the video later. But there are a number of small islands out on the Atlantic side of Anguilla. Okay, so we're continuing down the hill. As I said, it's a pretty steep drop from the main road down to the actual beach. So we are still going down. You can see by the size of the cliff there that the canyon is also quite deep. And off to this side, have a nice view of the ocean. So we can see the ocean as we're going down the hill. And we can hear it, or I can hear it. I'm not sure if it's coming across in the video or not. And now we have another super steep drop. And at the end of this, we should be at the beach. Oh, and look over here, you can see the surf. So you can see we're still quite a bit above the beach here. And here's our last steep drop. And surely you can hear the surf now. Okay, now we're on the edge of the beach. And we'll go by the sea grape tree. Kind of a little pretty entrance to the beach proper. And here we are, Katouche Bay. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. The light's a little bit difficult. There we go. And there we are. The early history of this region is shown in caverns that are in the more the rainforest part of the canyon area. You actually have a fairly steep climb up to one of the caverns, and although you can hike up to the cavern from the beach, and I have done that. I have a on my website, Adventures in Anguilla, I have a blog post that talks about that hike. The entrance is blocked, but within the caverns there is evidence of ritual use by the Amerindians from 400 Common Era to about 1200 Common Era. So this is, as I said, a very historic area. Along here is the entrance. I'm not sure if this is it or not. You go into the forest here, and then there's a little salt pond that you walk along the side of, and there is a trail where there are also stone steps that are called the airwax stairs that go up to, okay, I'm not sure that this is the entrance. I think it's a little further down, so we'll go back and see if we find the correct entrance from the beach. And you climb up the hill, and at the top is the cavern. And while you're climbing up the hill, you go through a lot of different types of vegetation. In the lower point, there's a lot of bromeliads that show it's a rainforest area. And at the top, there's a lot of different types of cactus. So it's very, very impressive hike. Maybe this is the entrance. Let's see. I am not going to do the hike today, but I did want to show where the trail was located in case you wanted to do it. And yes, this is it. You can see, get a good shot of the salt pond over here. A lot of birds enjoying that. Get up close, see if you can see some of the birds out there. The pond is quite full because we had a lot of rain last week. Tiny little ducks out there. And then the trail continues this way, and you just follow the trail and you get all the way to the top to the cavern. And then the trail continues even past the cavern, and there is another cavern. I have not been to that one. If you are really wanting to explore the caverns, I believe that there is a private ownership of them, and that you can contact those people to get a tour. But if you just want to do a little hike from the beach, this is the way to do it. And now we'll go back to the beach. I think we'll go back this way. Now, I should say, you pass a well also on the trail going up there. And the well dates from the 18th century in the 1700s. This property was owned by a plantation owner by the last name of Gums. And I'm not sure what they were trying to grow, but he owned a huge swath of the land, and that well was part of getting some of the fresh water. If you're interested in learning more about getting the wells of Anguilla, I did a video on that I will link below too. So that is part of the history. So the British were controlling from the mid to late 1600s, controlled Anguilla, but the French were wanting Anguilla. They had St. Martin, and so they decided they wanted Anguilla, but for whatever reason they decided to invade from the Atlantic side. I guess they were sneaking around the island, thought they would surprise the British, instead of coming straight across the Anguilla Strait from St. Martin to Anguilla. And so they had quite a large invasion force, and it was led by a Captain Latouche. And but he was surprised. Instead of surprising the British, he was surprised. This was in 1754, or 1745. I'll look on that too. Anyway, he was surprised by the British, and who killed or captured a huge portion of his force, and the French never tried to invade again from this direction. But you can see why they had the cannon, obviously more than one cannon. And probably the British were hiding in the canyon. Now, interestingly, Katouche is evidently named for Captain Latouche, the Frenchman. Why the La was changed to Ka, not sure. But so Katouche Bay, Katouche Canyon are in honor of his defeat. Little weird, but there you go. So that's, again, like I said, there's a lot of good history here. The fun thing about this bay, Katouche Bay, is that it is usually very empty of people. And so it is, if you want to have a beautiful view and a more restful, peaceful atmosphere, this is a good beach to come to. There are no beach bars or anything like that, but you can provide your own stuff. I'm going to walk along the beach a little bit and go down to where those rocks are, and then I'll come back on. The water's a little rough today, but when it's not quite so rough, this is a good place for swimming, maybe even snorkeling. The water is relatively shallow in this area, and you can see a lot of rocks over here where you might find some interesting sea life. We'll see whether that is the case or not. Now I'm in the rocky area. If you've watched prior of my videos, you know that I am very fond of rocks and surf. So this is a very pretty place for me to be, and I think most people would enjoy this. It is probably, if you were snorkeling, if it were a bit calmer, it's a little too rough, I think, for snorkeling, you might find some good sea life further out beyond the rocks there. These rocks appear to have fallen from the cliff wall and rolled onto the beach. So at some point, all of that was underwater, and you can see the different layers and the shells and the coral and things compacted in it. And whoa, that's a big one. Water came up to my knees. And there's some coral embedded in this. Basically conglomerate from millennia past. You can see where the wall is falling, the cliff wall is falling down over time, making this interesting little area here. Here's a view back towards the entrance to the beach. And over in that direction would be Katouche Bay and Little Bay, some of the other places that have little beaches that you can go to. Katouche Bay is a hidden gem where you can enjoy history, hiking, and a beautiful, quiet beach. The climb back up the hill is a bit of a challenge, but thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time on the Septuagenarian Explorer.